This one thing, if you can get it through your head, has the potential to change everything in your marriage and in your life. So buckle your seatbelts, because this is another chapter from the book of Bob, the Bobcast. And I'm here to tell you that the biggest mistake that you can make in your marriage is thinking that it's supposed to be fair on any level. Now look, I struggled with this for decades, and I struggled with it in every area of my life. And as a man, you're often called into leadership roles. Maybe you're leading in your company. Maybe you own the company. Maybe you're a manager. Maybe you just have one person who works for you, or maybe you just have to lead yourself. But here's the thing. Leaders don't point the finger outside themselves. Leaders do more. Leaders go first. Leaders care more. And when the wheels come off the tracks, leaders look to themselves. So the biggest mistake that you can make in your marriage is to think for a second that it's supposed to be fair on any level, that there's any kind of a scale where you're going to weigh out what she gives you versus what you give her, and that she doesn't have a scale. See, here's the thing, man. Here's why it's not fair. Because she is looking to see, is he giving me more than what I'm giving him? Now, does that sound fair? No, it doesn't sound fair. But listen, man, all the way through in the entire history of the world, men have been the stronger vessel. It makes it very clear inside the Bible that you are the stronger vessel. Women are attracted to men who are stronger than they are. What does that mean? Well, you know what? What comes to mind right away is that you're physically stronger. And if you're not physically stronger than your wife, absent some kind of disability, then my brother, I'm going to tell you that you are failing in your marriage. But it's not just the physical strength that's got to be greater. It's also got to be the mental strength. It's also got to be the emotional strength. It's also got to be the spiritual strength. You've got to be stronger in 360 degrees. Now, consider this. When a human being goes and finds another human being to attach themselves to, with the underlying thought in that human being's mind that she is going to attach to you because you are stronger than her, then by definition, she has expectations that you're able to do more than she is. Clearly, you should be able to lift more than she does. Clearly, you should be able to work harder than she does. And that outward strength, it's a manifestation, or she hopes it's a manifestation of what is going on the inside. Are you emotionally stronger? Are you more in control of your emotions than she is? And most men will laugh at that and say, of course I am. I'm not like a woman. I'm not emotional all over the place. Until that emotional woman starts raining all over his parade, and the next thing you know, he loses it and he loses control of his emotions. And the thing is, are you spiritually stronger than she is? Are you able to be that spiritual leader? Are you able to lead her to her sanctification? Are you able to set the example with what you do? And are you mentally stronger than her? Can you think faster? Can you use that faster thinking to apply to getting yourself under control and keeping yourself under control, so that in everything you say and in everything you do, you are able to prove to her every moment of every day that she is with a man who is stronger than her on every level. Now, my brother, let me ask you a question. If you're stronger than her on every level, then why would it make sense that things should be fair? Like, if you're able to lift more weight, are you going to sit back and watch her struggle as she is unable to lift some weight that needs to be lifted? Or, like the man, are you going to man up and are you going to go over there and lift it for her? And again, when we take this principle and we extrapolate it out and we say, well, can you do that emotionally? Can you do that mentally? Can you do that spiritually? Can you do that intellectually? Can you do that in all areas of your life? Then by definition, my brother, you're going to be doing more. You're going to be giving more. And so the single biggest mistake that men make in their marriage is they sit back and they want to keep score of what she is giving him versus what he is giving her. And this works in reverse as well, because here's the thing. Are you strong enough to look at her bad behavior and not give it back to her? Are you strong enough to look at the hypocrisy and what she calls you out for and then does back to you? Are you strong enough to forgive her of that and swallow it? Because if you are, then by definition, you are the stronger vessel and she's going to be attracted to you. And if you're not, then by definition, you are the weaker vessel, and what woman is going to be attracted to that? So I want to kind of go back and I want to tell you a story about when I was running my software company. It was a global company. We had employees and customers all over the world. And there I was sitting in one of our homes. It was either Atlanta or in Florida. And I got this call from a customer claiming that my software had cost him $800,000. And of course, I was like, I don't know, I was panic stricken. I was grief stricken. I was heartbroken. I was enraged. I couldn't believe it. I mean, how on earth could my software cost this company $800,000? And so as I went and I started to do the investigation, what I came to understand was that there was a programmer in one corner of the world who had written some stupid program that said, if you're able to start saving the data, then don't save the rest of it. Which was just crazy. Why anybody would do that, I don't know. But it went for a couple of weeks, and the guy spent $800,000 to go collect information using tens of thousands of people out in retail stores. And one day, he woke up and he's like, I'd like to see what that data looks like. And he hit the button and it was blank. And so I was furious. I was screaming and yelling and ranting and raving inside my company. I wanted heads to roll. I wanted to know the programmer who did it. I wanted to know the quality assurance person who didn't catch it. I wanted to know the configuration management person who's supposed to be the last line of defense and test it after it's put in production, who didn't catch it. I was angry with the customer because why would they let the whole project go and not check to see the data until the data came back and found out that it was empty? I was angry with the world. And my wife looked at me and she said to me, well, Bob, you know it's your fault, right? And I got to tell you, all the blood drained out of my face because I was like, what do you mean it's my fault? And I was furious with her and I started yelling at her as well. And she said, listen, who's the CEO of this company? And I said, well, I am, of course. She said, whose job is it to make sure that everything gets done? I said, well, ultimately it's mine. She said, whose job is it to put the policies and the procedures in place? Mine. Whose job is it to make sure there's oversight? Mine. Whose job is it to make sure there's a culture that drives excellence and drives success and drives peer oversight and drives somebody who cares about the customer so much that that would never happen? Mine. 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 It is my job. And yes, as a CEO, you have to delegate. Yes, I can't be everywhere all over the world at the same place. No, I can't be checking every customer's data every 5 minutes to make sure it's good. But I can absolutely do my level best to lead my company, to build a culture, to get the right people on the bus, to make the wrong people want to get off themselves or to ask them to leave the bus, to have the policies and the procedures. It was all my fault. It was my responsibility. It was my fault. And that's why I'm just so incredulous when, sometimes people ask, well, Bob, why aren't there any comments? It says there's comments on your ads on social media. And it's like, because the vast majority of the comments are saying, why is it always the man's fault? And I'll tell you, man, I get so tired of saying, are you a man or are you not? Are you leading or are you following? Are you the stronger vessel or are you the weaker vessel? Because if you are the leader, then everything that happens under your roof is your fault. My brothers, I cannot overemphasize this enough. What is happening inside your home is your fault. What is happening inside your marriage is your fault. Why? Because you are, in fact, the CEO of your marriage. And if you have a problem with that, then don't complain to me, complain to God. Because in Genesis 3:16, it says that Adam will rule over Eve. In Ephesians 5, it says, just as Christ is the head of the church, you are the head of your wife. And we could go in, I say this all the time, the examples of male headship that are in the Bible are numerous and plentiful and very illustrative. If you look at just the very first couple, Eve was taken from Adam, male headship. Eve was made for Adam, male headship. Eve was brought to Adam, male headship. Eve was called by God in the original Hebrew a helper against you. We say in the English translation a helpmate, and if you want to understand that, go check out my other videos. But in every case, the example that is given is that there is male headship. Now, does that mean you get to dominate her? No. Does that mean you get to control her? No. Does that mean you get to order her around? No. Does that mean you get to walk around and guilt her and shame her and blame her because she's not submitting? No. What it means is that you are the leader. And what that means, my brother, is that you take the lion's share of the responsibility to do what is right and set the example, even in the face of her bad behavior. And so this is going to circle back to what I said is the biggest mistake that you can make in your marriage. If you think that this is equal, if you think that this is a 50-50 partnership, and for every X amount of pounds or X number of pounds that you expend of your mental, your physical, your emotional, and your intellectual and your spiritual capital and bandwidth, that you're going to receive back an equal share from her, then your marriage is doomed. Because that's not the way God designed it. God designed this marriage where you owe her a lot more than she owes you. And here's the thing, brother. Whether she's a believer or whether she's secular, it is wired into her brain. She already knows this. And so she's going to call you out. I talk about this all the time. That's another part of Genesis 3:16. This whole idea of her having a desire for you, of her wanting to control you. This whole idea is that it is her job to call you out when you are not doing more for her than she is doing for you. Now, how backwards does that sound? How backwards does it sound that the way that God created marriage is that you're supposed to do more, be more, give more, sacrifice more, accept less, and that it's her job to let you know in no uncertain terms when you're failing to do that. And we wonder why the divorce rate is 50% or higher. We wonder why the other 50%, most of them are just martyring themselves in a miserable marriage. It's because to the average man, to the uneducated man about this topic, to the man who does not understand this, he's out there walking around making the biggest mistake he can possibly make in his marriage, counting what she's giving back and saying inside his head, this is not fair. My brothers, I'm going to tell you that if you can fix that inside your head, that you can fix everything that is wrong in your marriage. But here's the problem. Trying to fix that inside your head is like trying to say to that mountain, just like Jesus said, it's like trying to say to that mountain, get up and move, and watch it move. Why? Because everything in us as men screams that we must get this equal share back, that we must get back what we're giving. And I'm going to tell you, man, here's the thing. All those naysayers, and I'm going to tell you one of the reasons I blocked those comments, all those naysayers, what you see, they're using filthy, vile language, putting down their women, talking so derogatorily about women because they don't understand this biggest mistake that can be made in the marriage. And so they're full of anger because they're not able to transcend this, because they don't understand this. And because anybody who tells them they need to do this, they think that that's weak. They think that that is emasculating. That's the other thing that I get on a lot of those comments. I get, this is just emasculation. This is just more man bashing. This is just about, feminism, saying that the man is the problem. Well, you know what, man? The man is the problem, because the man who mans up and is able to transcend this inside himself, that is not a weak man. That is a strong man. That is a real man. That's the other thing I get on the comments. They want to tease and joke and poke fun at, oh, well, if you lost me at real man. Come on, man. A real man is so much stronger than his wife that no matter what she says or does, no matter what she doesn't say or doesn't do, on her best day, on her worst day, on her best behavior, on her worst behavior, he is able to remain strong and kind and calm and caring and loving and compassionate and forgiving and accepting of her who she is, where she is, as she is, and strong enough to be that guiding light who can lead her to a better place, a man who can model the better behavior, a man who can demonstrate the better behavior, a man who can consistently teach her and train her that there is a better way to be, a better way to act, a way that is much more like our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That guy is not weak. The weak man is the guy who has to yell at her, has to cuss at her, has to cut her down, has to blame and shame and defend and deflect because he cannot transcend his own weakness. Because here's the thing. How many times, and I'm speaking to every man here, I'm speaking to you, brother, you alone, no matter how many millions of men might end up hearing this, I'm speaking to you alone, brother. How many times have you been sitting there trying to hang on to being okay? And here she comes around the corner with that look in her eye and that tone in her voice letting you know that once again you have failed in the marriage. And that comes in and that hits something. And when it hits, it hurts. And as it hurts, what happens is this energy starts coming up and rising up inside you. And you know what? You know that energy is not healthy. You want to talk about feministic terms, the toxic masculinity? You want to talk about toxic masculinity? I got it for you right here, brother. It's that you know this energy is toxic. You know that one of three things is going to happen, brother. The worst of all cases is that it makes you so angry and makes you feel so weak that what comes out is anger and rage and resentment and all of the injustices, from the bullies in the schoolyard to the girls who have dumped you to the way that your parents have treated you. All this stuff has been building up your whole life, and your wife just stepped right in the middle of it, and it comes up, and the monster, the rage, comes out of the cage, and you put bass in your voice, and you start raising your voice and yelling at her and shaking your fingers, and you're going to shut her down. That is your number one goal. You're going to shut her down. And you want to know something? That man is going to end up divorced. Mark my words. Or when that energy comes in, it hurts so much, and this guy is either incapable of that level of rage, which I'm going to tell you, my brother, would be another reason he would get divorced. Sometimes a man needs that level of rage, but where he gets it backwards is that he turns it on his wife. My brother, you got to turn it on yourself to fix what is wrong with you, so that the way you appear to your wife is always kind and calm and loving. So, my brother, I'm going to tell you that if you're not capable of that kind of rage towards yourself and yourself only, then that is one of the reasons you're going to get divorced. And if you're not capable of caging and harnessing that rage so that it never comes out towards her, then that is a reason you're going to get divorced. And the guy who's not capable of it, what ends up happening is often he curls up in a ball. He gets in the fetal position. He's like, "Mommy, please approve of me." That is not the stronger vessel. That guy's going to get left as well. And so in that space, what is the third place? Well, my brothers, the third problem is the middle of the road problem. And this is kind of like the way the water cuts through the Grand Canyon. You don't rage on her, and at the same time, you're not curling up into a ball saying, "Mommy, please approve of me." You look at her, and you appear to take it as a man, and then like a dog returns to its vomit, you can't help yourself. You keep making the same mistakes. And you do these over and over and over until you have taught her completely that there is no hope. There is no hope that you're ever going to change. And so, brother, what ends up happening here is that she wakes up one morning and she decides that it is neither safe nor productive to do what God wired her to do in Genesis 3:16 and let you know how you're failing to do more and be more and care more and lead more and accept more responsibility in the marriage. And so she starts holding it back. And this goes on for days, and then weeks, and then months, and often case years, while she is slowly divorcing herself from you. Slowly divorcing herself from you. Starting to plan for what happens when the kids are old enough that she thinks that it's going to be safe for her to leave. And in some cases, she's able to stay until they're empty nested. And we get those calls all the time. I call it the trifecta between the menopause, the midlife crisis, and the empty nest syndrome. Sometimes Satan throws this huge bomb in her path, and she finds her high school boyfriend, and she starts pouring out her heart. And then there's some kind of affair, emotional, physical, whatever. My brother, where this all came from was the biggest mistake you can make in your marriage, which is to think on any level, on any planet, that it's okay for you to count what's coming back from her and demand that it be fair. Whether that demanding is aggressive by telling her that, or whether it's passive by stopping doing what you're doing. And so, brother, what ends up happening is she ends up holding this back, and what you don't understand is that 90% of the reason why she's leaving you don't even know. And so often, if you go watch my video testimonials, what you're going to see is that so often men get blindsided. They get blindsided because they didn't know. Why didn't they know? Because their wife wouldn't tell them. Why wouldn't their wife tell them? Because he taught her very clearly that it was neither safe nor productive or both to have those conversations. So she suffered in silence until she couldn't take it anymore, and then he wakes up one day and gets blindsided when it's been as plain as the nose on his face for years, sometimes decades. And so my brother, here's the thing. How does a man actually do it? How does he actually pull it off? How does he actually get control of his own emotions so that he's not raging on her, and he's not curling up into a little ball seeking mommy's approval, and he's not going down the middle of that road and looking like a stand-up guy, but just unable to stop himself from doing the things that hurt her and disappoint her and break her trust and break her heart and let her down? How is he able to do that? How is he able to turn the corner and actually be the man who she needs him to be, when so often As men, we don't even understand what it means, brother. You know, one of the hardest things to overcome is the whole, you say you love me, but I don't feel it. Oh my gosh, that is just so difficult for so many men to overcome. And my brother, I'm going to tell you that we can spend hours and hours and hours and hours training on that one point alone. As a matter of fact, today at 3 o'clock Eastern time for the men in my program, we're going to spend 2 or 3 hours going over so much of what I've talked about here before. Because every man knows on a certain level why his marriage is failing. It's because he can't stop himself from improperly reacting and responding to her. He can't stop himself from improperly being proactive about the things that he says and does. And then that's the foundation, and then the shaky house that is built on that broken foundation is that he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to say. And then even if he were to learn what to do and learn what to say, he still doesn't understand how to hack his brain, how to actually get his brain going in the way where no matter how much stress he's under, no matter how emotional she gets, no matter how many problems he sees, no matter how angry he feels, no matter how hurt he feels, no matter how scared he feels, no matter how much in scarcity he is, no matter what problems are going on in his life, he knows how to hack and run his brain such that he can prove to her that he is no longer making the biggest mistake that a man can make in his marriage, and her knight in shining armor, her Prince Charming that she has literally fantasized about and dreamt about since the day she hit puberty, that guy is the guy who is standing in front of her. And that old weakened, broken husband, that old failing husband, that old, whether it's the rage out of the cage or the curled up in the little boy seeking mommy's approval, or the guy who can't just stop returning to his vomit, that guy is dead and gone. And the guy that is standing in front of her is this born-again version of her husband. That's why even the name of my program is called the Born-Again Husband. And yeah, I say win her back in 8 weeks because it takes 8 weeks to reprogram your brain, brother. It takes 8 weeks to reprogram the psychological relationship patterns in your brain to make a better you, a stronger you, a faster you, a more capable leader, a man who is capable of doing more, being more, sacrificing more, leading a path, to teach her that she can depend on the fact that she is married to a man who is stronger than her in every area of their lives, so that he has this higher value. He has this thing, this charisma, this something in his DNA that she says, as long as my passenger car is hitched to his locomotive, I know that my passenger car is getting pulled in the direction that is my idea of the best version of my life. That I can become my idea of the best version of myself, that I can become my idea of the best mother I can be, my idea of the best wife I can be, my idea of the best child of God I can be, so that my life has meaning and purpose both here on this earth and in the life after. And guys, so many times we're looking at this stuff and we're like, I never thought about any of that. I just go to work, I bring home the paycheck, and then I ask her to give me the comfort that I need. That guy is failing. That guy is going to get divorced. That is the biggest mistake you can make in your marriage. My brother, like I said, today at 3 o'clock, we're going to talk about this in my program for 3 hours with a group of high-achieving, successful, professional Christian men who love Jesus and love their wife, and they want their life to mean something. They want the time they spend on this earth to mean something. They want to stand before God someday and hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant," not, "I trusted you with my daughter and you failed her, so look what happened to your kids, and look what happened to your grandkids, and their kids, and their kids." And we talk about this every week inside my program. We talk about so much about how to actually run your brain for success. And so if you'd like to learn more about this, the first step is that I have about a 45 or 50-minute free training that I offer on my website at www.realmanrevolution.com. And my brother, now you know what that means, what a real man means. realmanrevolution.com. In there, you can watch testimonials right on the front page. You can look in the testimonials tab on the menu, and you can also read our ethos. You can read our mission, our vision, and there's buttons all over the place. If you want to watch that free training, it's the 5 shifts that any man needs to make in order to achieve what I've been talking about on this Bobcast, this chapter from the book of Bob, and it's free for you there, man, whenever you want to go watch it. And then if you feel like you qualify, because here's the thing, not every man qualifies. Like I said in yesterday's recording, like you've got to be able to offer her something. If you're falling apart financially, if you're falling apart in other areas of your life, then what does she have to hang on to? So you've got to be a stable guy. You've got to be at least stable emotionally. You can't be having restraining orders, and you can't be like hitting her because I'm never going to help a man get back in the house to help him to hit her. Right? You can't be like have substance abuse because it doesn't matter how well you treat her. You can't stop taking the substance. So go get help for that first. Right? So you've got to have some level of stability, some level of financial and emotional and physical stability. And so if you do qualify, then I've got a special offer for you at the end of that call where you'll be able to actually get on the phone with me or one of my coaches. And we will walk you through a tailored plan specific to your situation, your wife, your history, what you want, what she wants, how to walk through these 5 shifts specifically tailored for you on a step-by-step basis so that you can understand how to avoid the biggest mistake you could ever make in your marriage. And so, my brothers, I've got to stop because I've got to prepare for that group call, but I look forward to hearing you on it someday in the future so that you can get this too, because I want to tell you what's on the other side. What's on the other side is the kind of love that you see in this picture, the kind of love between me and my wife and our brand new little granddaughter in that picture. When you look at that picture, that is love, brother. That is love. And if you want that as you grow older, if you want your kids and your grandkids to be enveloped and protected by and nourished by and cherished by and built up and trained up by and bathed in and soaked in that kind of love, then when you get off of this video, you go to www.realmanrevolution.com, you watch that training, you get in this program, and when you do, then you're going to get out on the other side, and you're going to have that kind of marriage if you do the work, my brother. If you do the work, because here's the thing, brother. It's not Bob's plan, it's God's plan. The only thing Bob does is help you figure it out faster. Help you figure it out and hack your brain. Help you figure it out and find all the shortcuts. So there's no 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or we minimize those to the extent possible. And I walk with you side by side. I coach you, I mentor you, I train you. That's what we do in my program. And so if you're interested in that, any step along the way is going to help you, brother. These videos help you. That free training that I have on realmanrevolution.com. And then should you get on one of those calls, and then should you enter that program, we will serve every man at the level that he is capable of receiving. So subscribe to this, watch that training, get on that call, get on the program, whatever level you're able to rise to, we are here to help you. I'll see you on the other side. This has been another chapter from the book of Bob.